So let's start with a question. I know a lot of moms are quietly asking themselves, what would I even sell? Not how do I build a funnel, not what platform should I use, but simply what would my first digital product be? If you've been feeling stuck right there, then today's episode is for you because we're going to do a deep dive into your first digital product, what it should be, what it should not be, and how to start in a way that actually feels doable in your real mom life when we return. Hello and welcome back to the Making of a Mompreneur Show. I am your host, Rasheeda Green, the founder and CEO of Get Coaching, the host of the Mompreneur HQ community, and the creator of the Digimompreneur Academy, where we help moms who are determined to find time, money, and location freedom so that they can build a life of their dreams without neglecting themselves or their families in the process. Now, we do this through various ways, including coaching, content, a community, and of course the Digimompreneur Academy. But today, as the Digimompreneur, we are talking to you about your first digital product, what to create, why it matters, and how to start without overthinking it. And we are doing this in our continuing our BFFs pillars series by staying in the B's. That's right. B is for business, and that's the B lane that we're in today. So if you haven't already, make sure you let us know where you are tuning in from by putting hashtag live if you're watching us live and where you're tuning in from. And if you're watching the replay, guess what? We still love you, boo, because you are still watching the show, even though the time had passed. You are catching up with us. So go ahead and put hashtag replay and tell us, hey, if you're watching us in New Jersey, New France, New England, I don't know. Just go ahead and put it in the comments. And we will be glad to see the reach of the Mompreneur HQ community in the comments. All right, now this is a serious episode we're talking about. We're trying to get your digital product life together. So make sure you have your pen, paper, or digital device so that you can take some good notes. And if they are so good to you and it's refreshing to know, make sure you drop hashtag nugget and then tell us what the good note was that you wrote down so that others can see what you were able to learn and receive from today's episode. Now, this conversation is especially for the mom who knows she wants to expand her income, but doesn't want to overwhelm herself, doesn't want to overinvest, and certainly doesn't want to overcomplicate the process. So we're going to start with why your first digital product matters. Here's something I want to clear up right away. Your first digital product is not meant to be your biggest, your best, or your most polished offer. Its job is not to make you rich overnight. Its job is to teach you how digital products work. Think of it as your entry point, your proof of concept. When moms skip this step and jump straight into a big course or complex offer, guess what? That's when the frustration sets in. But when you start small, you build your confidence, you get clarity, and then you build momentum. We don't want to get bogged down with the initial thing. Want to know why? Because if we do, we won't start. If we do, we never actually get that digital product out of the hard drive, right? Or off a Google Drive. So that's why we don't want you to get stuck there. We want you to know it matters, but not because it's supposed to be the best, the biggest, or the best, biggest, or brightest thing out there, right? We just want you to get started. So what your first digital product should be. You might be wondering, your first digital product should solve one specific problem for one specific person, okay? What should your first digital product be? It's going to be specific to one person, win one problem. If we're trying to solve everybody's problems, we're not solving anybody's problems. Again, not everyone, not everything, just one. Okay. This is where a lot of us get stuck because we think, hey, I have so much knowledge. I'm so smart. I know how to do this. It's just so much. I can't handle it. How do I choose? Here's the answer: choose the problem that people are already coming to you for. Now, they may be asking you a bunch of different things, but there's usually some type of pattern or a gist of questions that people come to you for. And the questions, you might be getting those in your DMs. Your friends might be asking you for advice. The system that you figured out the hard way, somebody is approaching you to try to get that shortcut. Okay. Your first product is usually something you've already lived through. All right. Now, common first digital product ideas. You've probably heard of them. You've probably seen them on Etsy, on Facebook Marketplace, even in Shopify. Your common first digital product ideas. Some examples of what great first digital products actually look like: they're not complicated. That's number one. They're not complicated. A simple guide that walks someone through a process you've already mastered. It could be a workbook that helps someone to think through a decision you've already made. A checklist that saves someone time and even confusion because they don't know what to do, how to do it, when to start, but you've already gone through it and you can provide a checklist to help them get through it a lot quicker. It could also be a short training that explains something people keep asking you about. Now, that training, I don't want to go and call it a course necessarily, because it can really just be a video that you record or even an audio clip that you record and are able to sell as a digital product to help someone to get to the next step. Notice what these all have in common: they're practical, they're specific, and they don't require perfection. All right, so now let's talk about the questions that I know are popping up in your head. Wait, not complex, practical. What if it's too simple? Simple is good. Simple sells, and simple builds trust. You may be asking, what if I already gave this away for free? Because that's most of the case. That's mostly the case, right? Because somebody asks you, oh, how do you do this? And you just blah, 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 blah. You spit it all out. You tell them what they need to do. Now, that could be a little overwhelming for some, but the thing is, you've already given out this information for free. You've posted it on in your reels. You've done it as a carousel. You've given it out for free. But guess what? Then people actually get to see the value in it. And that's a good sign, because now they recognize that what you've been saying or what you're sharing for free is actually valuable to them in the way that they are able to now get that resolution to that question or that problem that they were wondering about. And of course, another question is, what if I don't know the tech? The thing is, you don't need to know everything to start. You learn as you go. And depending on what digital products you're talking about, you may not need to know any tech at all. Of course, the age-old question is, what if no one buys it? Then you gather feedback, you adjust, and then you try again. That's business, and it's not failure. Some call it failure. I launched to crickets. Okay, you launched to crickets. What are you going to do differently the next time you launch so that maybe it's not crickets? Right? It's a failure is a learning experience to get you one step closer to success. So think of it that way. Now, this is why I love digital products for moms, because from a business perspective, they help you build scalable income. And from a family perspective, they give you flexibility, and we crave that. From a self-care perspective, it's low energy. They reduce constant hustle. You're not constantly going, because again, we talked about last week, you're not constantly booking appointments and talking and coach and having coaching sessions. You produce this digital product that you can sell over and over again without having to be gravely indebted to making the sale. And then of course, from the faith perspective, they allow you to create with intention and integrity. And your business doesn't have to cost you what matters most. I've told you about what you should do, even gave you some ideas on some simple ways, some simple digital products that you can create. I'm going to also share with you what not to do with your first digital product. I'm going to lovingly slow this down for a moment because this part right here can save you a lot of frustration. When you're creating your first digital product, there are a few very common traps and pitfalls that moms fall into, and not because they're doing something wrong, but because they care. Don't we have just like the biggest heart like ever? So we care, and we care a lot. So let's talk through what not to do, and of course share why. So I don't want you to try to teach everything. We talked about that. This is one of the biggest mistakes that I see when you're knowledgeable, experienced, or multi passionate like myself. It's tempting to say, let me just put everything in this one product so it's worth it. Not only is that coming from a place where I have to, where it's, I'm trying to think, it's confidence, because you may feel like what you have by itself is not good enough. So you just start cramming stuff in there. It's also not, is a lack of direction, because you have all this knowledge, but and you feel like you have to pour it all in. But let me just tell you this: if you throw everything into this one product, people going to look at it like it's throw up, right? It's just too much. I can't handle it. It's overwhelming. There's a lot of this stuff just all on the floor, right? Or in this course, or in this document that you're trying to create. So we don't want to do that. That is negative perception. No matter what you think about, oh, I'm giving them so much stuff that they're going to love it. No. When you try to teach everything, you overwhelm your customer, and guess what? Yourself. Because now you have all this stuff that you have to communicate in this course, this document, whatever it is that you're trying to, or coaching package that you're trying to present. Your first digital product is not meant to be your life's work. We talked about this a moment ago. It is just to get you out there, test the waters, see what's happening, see what you can do to better, see if you can distinguish yourself as a creator. This is how you learn digital products, how you learn your audience. And it's not to be, this one product is not supposed to be the end all beat all. We at the Digimompreneur Academy like to talk about a suite of products, right? We want to take people from level to level. We want to make sure that they are building and developing into your product suite, so that they're not just a one time buy and gone. We want lifetime customers. We want them to stay with us, and we help them to stay with us by creating products that are connected, that takes them from one level to the next. So it really, your first digital product is really not meant to solve the whole problem. Okay, it's meant to solve one clear problem, but not every problem that your ideal client has. Think of it like this: you're not writing an encyclopedia. And let me tell you how I was like, encyclopedia? Who still has encyclopedias? But I was talking to one of my neighbors, and her 7-year-old son likes to read the encyclopedia. And I was like, I was so touched by that. I was like, oh, he likes to read the encyclopedia. She says yes, because he likes facts. He doesn't like fiction, nonfiction, little stories about the pet, Susie and her pet, or whatever. He doesn't do those. He likes facts. He can actually run off some of those facts to you. And so I thought that was so cute. And then I thought about it. I was like, wait, who still has encyclopedias? She has encyclopedias, and that's why her son loves facts. And he is just so smart. But anyway, moving on. So I was talking about encyclopedias. You're not writing one. That's the point I was making. You're writing a chapter. So you're writing a chapter in a book. And this is what we're talking about, your suite of products as well. Each chapter is interconnected so that you can have a client go through a whole process, or i.e. complete a whole book to be successful. But you are not writing an encyclopedia. Your digital product, your first digital product, is a chapter in that story. Okay. And when somebody finished that chapter and gets a win, they trust you for the next one. Now they're looking forward to reading the next chapter, or in our scenario, reading the next chapter, really moving on to the next product that you have. And again, they trust you. Now they can potentially become a lifelong client, or a long-term client, someone who buys something else from you. All right. Next, I would say, I don't want you to wait until it's perfect. Girl, we are all in that perfect cycle. This one is close to home for a lot of us moms, right? Because we don't like to have to do nothing. I know I don't like to have to do nothing, but sometimes I just be seeing myself thinking I'm gonna make this so perfect. And guess what? It never hits the light of day. Perfection often shows up disguised as responsibility. It sounds like I just want to make sure it's really good. But perfection, it delays progress. And so that's why we say progress over perfection, because perfection will mess you up and you will not get anything done. So when we're talking about coming out with your first digital product, it does not need to be fancy. It does not need to have fancy branding, a massive You don't have need to have a massive platform or every possible bonus ever. It does not need all of that. It just needs clarity. It needs to be clear. It needs to be concise. It needs to solve a problem. And you're allowed to improve as you go. Somebody gives you a 1 star. Oh, it's heartbreaking. But if they give you a 1 star with explanation, you best believe you need to be up in there looking at that 1 star comment and saying, oh, they didn't like because the length of the videos. All right, I'm going to go ahead and cut those down, see what we can do the next time. You learn from those lessons. You are allowed to learn and improve as you go. So the first iteration is just that, the first iteration. You have the opportunity to adjust based on feedback and then come back even better the next time. But waiting for perfect often means never releasing it at all. And I don't want that for you, sis. No, because I know that alley. I've been down that alley a couple of times, and I don't want that for you. I want you to take your first product and put it out there. Next, I don't want you to spend months creating in isolation, because we can get in our head, we get our planner going, we got our schedule going, we're gonna do this, we're gonna do that, and then you know what? It ends up being another quiet trap. Moms will say, I just need to finish it first. And then months go by and the product never sees what? The light of day. Creating in isolation keeps you guessing. It makes you question yourself more than necessary. And your audience doesn't need perfection, they need solutions. So the best thing for you to do is to actually start sharing your ideas early. Talk about the problem that you're solving. Let people tell you what they need, right? And you can do this with your social media. Start talking about the problem that you're solving. Hey guys, I've been quiet lately because I am working hard on this new product that I'm releasing to help solve this problem. Boom. That's it. And people be like, oh my goodness, yeah, I was just thinking about that. And they'll chime in. And then you can actually use that feedback to further create and build the product that you're working on. And now you have insight and direction from people who you actually looking to sell the product to, so that you can make it a better product from day one. Once you let them tell you what they need, it's easier to do it. So even if that means, again, we're not in isolation, do a poll on social media. Hey, what do you guys think about this? What colors do you think would be more appealing to you? What product do you think would be the best? Not the product, but something about the product, whether it be the topic or something like that. What do you think? That's all I'm asking, saying here. Get your audience's buy-in, because feedback actually shortens the learning curve every time. All right. So I want you to make sure you're doing that, not waiting. The next thing I would say is don't compare your beginning to someone else's middle. Ay, Dios mío. When I tell you, that is the one right there. That one right there. Because you're looking online and oh my gosh, that's so nice and that's so pretty. Oh, that's stuff. And you're thinking, oh, mine's not going to be like that. Oh, how does she get that? And you trying to figure out somebody who's been working on this for 5-10 years, how to get yours to look like theirs 5-10 years later. No, it's so easy to look online and think my product doesn't look like that, or I'm so far behind, and then wasting time trying to get yours to look like theirs when they're paying these people buku cash to actually handle their accounts and do all this special stuff, and you're a one-woman show. Really, it's so many things that go into that. That's why you don't want to get into comparisons. You don't want to get into imposter syndrome. But what you're seeing on these platforms and you're seeing online is usually someone else's middle. or their maturity stage, not their first attempt. I'm sure if they were to go back and play their first videos that when they went live, or show their first product that they sold online, it doesn't look nothing like what they're doing now. So do not compare yourself. Everyone starts somewhere. And if this is your first digital product, then just let it be your first digital product. Comparison steals your confidence and distorts your expectations. And your journey doesn't need to look like anyone else's. Okay? Stop it right there. Your journey is your journey, and you are the only one that can walk the path. And you don't need someone else's journey to validate you or deem you as successful or unsuccessful. Focus on your lane, your season, and your next step. All right. So, your first digital product is not about proving yourself. We talked about that. It's about practicing clarity, practicing courage, practicing creation. And every step you take builds momentum. So let me pause right here for a moment. And I want you to be really honest with yourself. Which one of these has been holding you back the most? Is it trying to teach everything you know, waiting until it feels perfect, creating quietly without feedback, or comparing your beginning to someone else's middle? I want you to go ahead and drop that in the comment field. Which one? If you want, you can just type a word from the lines. You don't have to sit up there and type the whole thing. Oh, I was waiting until it feels perfect. You can just put perfection. You can just put quiet, or comparing, or just everything. You can use one word. That's fine. I'll get it. No explanations are needed unless you really feel like sharing. But as you are answering, I want you to remember this. Awareness isn't failure, it's clarity. So knowing these things, realizing that you fall in a particular category doesn't mean that you're a failure. It just means it's giving you that you're aware. And clarity is actually the first step forward once you understand that. Okay. So if you haven't already, I want to make sure that you go ahead, comment, subscribe to our show, to our social media. We're out there on Instagram, YouTube, and Facebook. We are at the Digimompreneur. So make sure that you join us and follow us and share our socials and our shows with your best business besties. They want to know how to get the good goods too. Okay. So make sure they know. And if you're listening right now and thinking, maybe I could actually do this, I want you to hold on to that feeling, because your first digital product is not about pressure. It's about the possibility. It's about hopefulness. It's about insight into your future. So I want you to start where you are, use what you know, and trust that clarity comes through action. As we continue in this BFFs Pillars journey, and if you don't already know, BFFs is our mantra for the Mompreneur HQ community. It's business, family, faith, and self care. But we'll keep building in a way that feels aligned, sustainable, and real for our mom lives. I want to again thank you for joining us with today's show, your first digital product, what to create, why it matters, and how to start without overthinking it. And guess what? I'll see you in the next episode of the Making of the Mompreneur Show. Until next time.